Hello everyone, I am Narendra Bharathy. I am a senior research scientist based in US. I do pediatric cancer research. I have some background in bacteriology and virology. Today I have posted this video to talk about COVID-19 and pandemic outbreak. COVID-19 it's a coronavirus disease of 2019 which comes under the coronavirus family, which also includes SARS and MERS that have caused epidemic outbreak earlier. So coronavirus, they are the largest virus, about 35 kilobase pairs, and they are enveloped virus. So basically, if you look into the structure of this virus, the outer layer is basically it's a lipid bilayer with spikes, and these spikes are basically glycoproteins. When you observe it under electron microscope, they resemble crown, and that's why they are called as coronavirus, because in Latin, coronum means crown. And these viruses basically they cause respiratory tract infections, and they enter through your eyes or nose or mouth, and once they enter inside, they passes through your nasal cavity or through your oral mucosa and then onto your bronchial tube and to your lungs. So what they do is basically they attach to the receptor on the host cell with the help of the spike proteins, and once they attach to the cells, they pass the genetic information inside your cell via the cell membrane. And then what happens is it basically hijacks the reproductive machinery of the cells, thereby producing large number of viruses. And basically your cell becomes a factory for virus production, and after that the cell dies, it opens up and all the viruses are released, and then they start spreading to the entire body. So your lungs gets infected, and then it undergoes inflammation. That's because of the immune response, a cytokine release. And what happens is this results in symptoms basically, which starts from 2 to 14 days, and this could include dry cough, sneezing, chest pain, difficulty in breathing, bluish lips. So these are some of the symptoms, and basically difficulty in breathing, it would resemble pneumonia like symptom. And when it becomes fatal, what happens is you basically need a ventilator and artificial support for breathing. And however, the good news is most of the patients who are infected with this virus, they recover from it. Around 82% recovery rate as of now, because now this disease has spread to like 191 countries and territories, and had infected around 600,000 people, and about 30,000 have died because of this infection. So it turns out to be an 82% recovery. And so that's why the government around the world are following a lockdown, which is basically staying at home. And India has also recently announced lockdown for 3 weeks. And why this lockdown is very crucial, because when an infected person goes outside and when he coughs or sneezes, the respiratory droplet gets passed on to the person who is closer to him, and then it passes through the eyes or nose or the mouth, and thereby the other person gets infected. Not only that, so when the infected person touches the surface, and when the healthy individual goes and touches the same surface, there are chances that the virus might get transmitted. And so that's why it becomes very important to stay at home. And when you stay at home, it's very important to keep your environment clean. So what you need to do is to clean the floors regularly, not just with water. You need to use disinfectants like Dettol or Lysol, and do it like every alternate days. And wash your hands thoroughly, and you do it regularly, and especially before eating. So when you do washing of your hands, use soap. Soap is very efficient because it can affect the lipid bilayer of the coronavirus. And uh, and when you do the washing, wash your hands for 20 seconds at least. And whenever you don't have access to water, you can make use of hand sanitizer, but ensure that it has about 70% alcohol in it. Talking about cooking, so when you eat, basically have a very nicely cooked product. Basically, heat it well, boil it, and because at high temperature, bacteria or virus cannot survive. And when you refrigerate, ensure that you don't preserve your food for too long. And always when you take the product out of your fridge, you have to cook it properly and then eat. So I know like this lockdown is kind of boring, like in terms of like you have to stay at home, and so how to keep yourself engaged. So there are a lot of things that you can do. You can play indoor games, chess or carom or any sort of games, and you can read books. You can watch movies in Amazon Prime or Netflix, and you can engage with your parents or with kids or with your wife. You can help her with cooking, basically. And you can do yoga, meditation. You can do pranayama, deep breathing, that would help in boosting your immune system. And you can do exercise. You can have sound sleep, that also helps in building up your immune system. And but ensure that, especially youngsters, please don't go out, because even if you don't get affected that much, what would happen is you will become carriers, and then when you come and touch your parents or say your grandparents, they become more prone to this kind of infection. So because they might have ailments such as diabetes or heart disease or say asthma, and the immune system might be low, because what the statistic shows is most of the death is happening for those who are aged 60 and above. So we don't want to put them under risk. And the other question is whether pregnant women get affected because of this. Pregnant women, of course, a lot of changes happens inside them, change in immune system or hormone, but there are no conclusive studies showing that they are the high risk group. And also for babies, currently there are no studies that says that they are the high risk category. But then for infants below say 1 year old, they have poorly developed immune system, so you need to ensure that they are in a very clean environment. And also ensure that your kids are kept away from grandparents, because since kids can be a potential carrier of this infection, and they can spread the disease to your grandparents, basically. And talking about the whether there is any cure for, like drug for the coronavirus, COVID-19, or vaccine developed right now, the answer is no. But then people or scientists are coming up with a combination of antiviral drugs that are already existing. And so there's a antiviral drug called remdesivir, and this has been tried for Ebola virus. And now currently they are trying it out for COVID-19, and they have found some success out of it. But then scientists are also trying to develop vaccine for COVID-19. There are like 15 to 16 pharmaceutical companies that are involved in vaccine development, and universities are also actively involved in vaccine development. And there's a company called Moderna Biotechnology, which is based in Boston, US. So they're developing an RNA based vaccine, so which is different from the earlier ones. That takes time. Basically, in earlier days, what they do is they take the live viruses, or say viruses that have been inactivated with chemical compounds. Then what they do is they inject that into the human, and then your immune system basically respond to it, and thereby later when the actual viruses tries to enter your body, your immune response basically kills those virus. But now what Moderna biotechnology is doing is, with the genetic sequence that they have got, the information which they have received from the earlier study done by the Chinese scientists in Jan. So with that information, what they're doing is basically they are sequencing the mRNA of the spike protein, because the spike protein is the one that is going to bind to the cell receptor basically. So once when they introduce the mRNA of the spike protein inside the human through the lymphatic system, what happens is the spike protein goes and binds to the cell receptor. Then your immune cells comes and tries to destroy that, and basically it reads the spike protein, basically its structure and other details. And what happens is later when the actual virus comes and infects you, basically your immune system can respond in a better way. So right now they have done the clinical trial in animals, and recently in humans as well. But then they are planning to do more clinical trial. It's currently in phase 1, and the FDA has also given approval for them to speed up the process. So hopefully we should have a vaccine somewhere by fall, and hopefully yeah. So until that, I would say like prevention is better than cure. So please stay at home. This is a communicable disease. If you go out, basically you're going to spread the disease to other people. And India has such a huge population, and you can imagine things can go easily wrong, and you would end up spreading the disease. In fact, a researcher has come up with a statistic saying that if you don't follow this lockdown properly, by mid of May, you would have like 13 lakh people who would be infected with this virus. So that would be a devastating effect. So please stay at home and stay healthy. That is more crucial. And so I hope this video was quite helpful to you. There's one more thing that I wanted to tell you. There are a few people who are thinking whether they need to abandon pets. They fear that it might get transmitted from pets. Please don't do that. There is no evidences that shows that the coronavirus is going to get transmitted from pets to you. So it's fine, you can have the pets. So whenever you're closer to your pets, just wash your hands thoroughly with soap or with any other like the disinfectants. And so that should do. And yeah, I would be glad to take any further questions from you, and you can post it in the comment box, and I can put a follow video as well. So thank you.